Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's Intellectual Exchange. I am truly excited to have you all here today as we gather to discuss an issue that affects not only schools, but also parents, students, and the broader education community. Our topic today, the role of textbooks in education, resources for learning or profit-making tool, invite us to reflect on how textbooks are being used in our schools. Are they truly a means of enhancing education, or have they become a financial burden on families? As educators and advocates for inclusive and accessible education, it is our responsibility to ensure that students have access to relevant and affordable learning materials. In today's discussion, we will explore whether textbooks are serving that purpose or how we can strike a balance between quality education and affordability. I encourage all of you to share your thoughts, experiences, and possible solutions to this challenge. Let's work together to create an educational environment where learning resources empower students rather than add pressure to the family. Thank you all once again for joining us today, and let's dive into the important conversation. Our guest for today's intellectual exchange is Ms. Mary Anyango Akatch. Thanks for joining us, Mary.
Thank you too.
Please briefly tell us a bit about yourself before we kick on to the questions. Over to you.
Kindly confirm if I'm audible enough.
Yeah, I can hear you audible.
Okay. My name is Mary Akatch from Kenya. I'm a community development professional, an educator, and a champion for the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm passionate about quality education. And today I wish to share with you, as I wish to explore with you this interesting topic that affects quality education. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm happy to have you too. Welcome today. All right, we're going to kick on to the question. The first question is, what are the primary purpose of textbook in schools, and how should they be selected to support students learning effectively?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. Thank you so much for it.
You're
And
welcome.
okay, thank you. In my personal view, I think the primary purpose for textbooks in schools is to provide standardized instructions for the students. And also it promotes the syllabus and the curriculum. Yeah. And okay, to the next question on how to select the textbooks. I think in selection of the textbooks that will enhance effective learning, we have to look at the curriculum and the grade level of the students that we are selecting the books for. And also we have to consider the language proficiency of every child that the textbooks are going to help. And also another thing to consider is the affordability of the books. Are the books really available in the market? So I think that is what I can say about the question of the roles and the selection of textbooks.
Well, thank you very much for that response. All right, I'll just move over to the next question. How can schools strike a balance between providing quality learning materials and preventing textbooks from becoming a financial burden on parents and students?
Thank you so much for this question once again. And I think this is the main problem that we have in schools, both in private and public schools, because for instance, the private schools, okay, it is the parents to take the whole burden of the textbooks. And sometimes it's assumed that now that you took your child to the private schools, you are just in a position to buy the textbooks, which might not be true. And also in the public schools, you find that the government can only afford a few books for the students who are so many in those schools. So in my personal view, this can, how can we strike a balance between maintaining the quality education that we want to offer and also not like preventing the parents from carrying the whole burden of the textbooks. As a school, I think you're supposed to assess your parents and know their capacity. There are parents who can be able to support others in terms of the textbooks. So to remove the burden from the parents who might not be in a position to buy these textbooks, maybe we can come up with the donation programs where parents who have extra textbooks at school, they can just drop them there so that the students who are not able to get these textbooks can get them. Another way we can do it, we can just have a common library in the school. So maybe if a child is passed, maybe has been promoted to the next grade and still have the books, instead of maybe taking them home with nobody to use them, they can leave them in the school. And I was also looking at it as writing proposals as an educator, as the administrator in the school. You know the need in your school, and maybe you know the parents, and maybe you can come up with you can write up a proposal to the foundations or to the organizations that you know can help you in donating the books. So you write to them, they support you, and then now the students can get the books instead of burdening the parents with the cost. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think I have something to add to this. In a situation whereby, because I've experienced it as well, I have kids that have finished a particular class, and they have younger siblings that are entering the same class. But it happens that students are meant to write inside the exercise book or inside the textbooks. Do you understand? When students are meant to write inside the textbooks, so that means that particular textbook won't be able to the elder siblings can't pass it on to the younger siblings, and you find out that the same textbooks, you'll find out a particular family will have about 3 different, as in the same textbooks, into 3 places. You understand what I mean? So what can we do about this? Because if it's something that maybe you can pass on from one child to another, it will be something very, I think parents will be very happy about that, because they will feel relaxed. Okay, I'm going to buy all the books right now. When my next child comes to the same class, the child will use it. Or sometimes some schools decide to change textbooks everything. I've noticed that, so I've realized that too. Sometimes school, you buy a particular type of book this session, then next session the school decides to change the same, I mean change the book to another version or another series entirely, making the child to start all over, the parent to start all over. So what do you think about this? If there's anyone that has something to say in this note, please add something before we move on.
Good evening, everyone.
Sorry, good evening. I to mute him.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I think what the speaker said, Mary, it's very much true. I think the burden is so much, and schools really need to see how a way to manage this. Having to say buying textbooks year in, year out, when you have siblings that could use that textbooks, it's something that critically, even here in Kanus, some educators, we are already looking into it. How can this situation be coped? How can they cope this situation? And one of the ways is like, if these schools, why not just create a library structure? Like Mary suggested, create a library structure where the school books, instead of parents buying it, the books are given to the students based. Now, if you look at the foreign system, I was going before the presentation today, I was going through the American system, and I found out that the Americans, they don't dwell on buying textbooks. Every book that the student wants is in the library. And if you want any book, go to the library, get it, use it, and return it back. So the school, there is no burden on the parents. All the parents need to do is just get the books to write. So if such can be applied, thank you. Like Miss Mary said, the library system,
That's
it
true.
will go a long
The library
way
system
to
that
reduce.
Miss Mary spoke about is very. If schools can just take that, it's going to relieve parents of a lot of burden. You understand? Mr. Caesar, over to you. I saw your hands up.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I believe you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're audible.
All right. Looking at this textbook issue, sometimes it's a very contentious one, especially depending on the curriculum and the education system that you have in a given country. And of course, you have to look at the textbook policy in every institution or in every government. For example, in Kenya, we have two types of institutions. We have the public ones and the private ones. The public ones are fully supported by the government. Some years back, it was the burden of the parents to buy textbook for their learners. And trust me, the situation was bad. I mean, you walk into a classroom, you have 50 students, there are 10 textbooks, and the students are supposed to read from the same script. As a teacher, you have yours provided by the government, a few copies in the library, and the many copies that are there, or the few copies that are in the library, are not enough for all students. Later on, the policy changed. Now the government provides textbooks. We call them course books. So before the year ends, a census is carried out through a government system, and they know the number of students in every school. Then they provide the books. The challenge is sometimes the books come late in the academic year, maybe halfway. That's when we have the textbooks. So along the way, we need to have a stock. So sometimes we push this policy. I mean, this is a burden to the parents. As we wait for the government to provide, they also have to do something. You mentioned about students writing in the textbooks. Well, that one we can not prevent it, because some students will want to write, unless we have what we call workbooks for particular learners. So if a learner has a workbook which is related to the textbook, that is what can happen. They can write in their workbooks. But in our public sector, we don't have such. So students are writing exercise books or notebooks, which are taken for marking. But sometimes you find as they are going through the exercises, in the textbooks, students write in them. And becomes difficult to pass it on to another, because already the answers to some exercises are there. When it comes to now sharing the textbooks, the library is the perfect way to go. You may find a family of 5 children, probably 3 are in the same level of education. Text different schools, then something a lot. But this differs from one country to another. For those which are established, I guess a common library is a perfect solution. In my country, we have public libraries in specific towns, but you see, there are so many schools and one library. You can find an area with about 100,000 people with one library. And that covers about 100 schools, secondary schools, and the primary schools are more. They could be 300 or 400. And all of them will like to use that library, and the distance to be covered is long. So establishing a library in every given institution will be a perfect idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Prince Patrick, you have something else to say? Or maybe we should complete the questions, remaining one question, then we can now move on to the discussion. What do you think? I think we should do that. Let me just give her the last question.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Mary, over to you. The third question is, what alternative strategies can schools adopt to minimize the cost of textbooks while maintaining access to relevant and up-to-date learning resources?
I think this question is more related to the second one.
Yeah.
Because you can see that some of the ways I personally thought of is just making arrangements with the sister schools, in that if there is a school near your school that you know has all the materials, instead of maybe buying the books yourself, you can be exchanging the books. So you can come up with the textbooks exchange program, where when you need the textbooks from that school, you just go and pick them. And then if they need them, they also come and pick it from your school. And also the issue of using the library. Instead of every child carrying his or her book, we can introduce that library system where you use the book as you return it there for another child to use. So we'll be buying less books, but it will be able to support all the children that we have in school. So I think that is another strategy. Another way that I cannot, I cannot leave out in this point is just assessing the needs of your school. And then as the administrator in the school, as the educator who you felt the need of these textbooks, you can reach out to organizations which you think can support you in the provision of the books. Then after the books have come, they go directly to the library where children can use them from there. Thank you so much.
Wow, amazing points. Thank you very much for those suggestions. I think this suggestion will really go a long way, honestly. Thank you very much. All right, over to you, Prince Patrick. Please, before we continue, please let's send Mary a clapping emojis. In fact, any reaction of your choice, please. She just gave us amazing points. Thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you so much.
All right.
You're welcome. Over to you, Prince Patrick.
Mary, I'm so proud of you, and in fact, you just nailed the points very well. I wish there were so many educators here to hear what you have. In fact, the library system is something that really is working so perfectly in some schools. Yes, but I just want to add a new method that has been coming up in some schools here in Kano, and that is for the textbooks. We are now having what we call an e-library. There's the evolution of e-libraries now. Parents can go online rather than buying these textbooks. They download the textbooks. They can download the textbooks, read there. Whatever is it, downloading a textbook is not as expensive as buying it. The money you can use to buy a textbook, you can use it to buy enough data that can take you to download more than 1,000 of those textbooks. So the e-library is there. Then also there is another method that we have adopted here in Kano. That is, rather than having these textbooks used, instead of having parents buy these textbooks, we create contents out of these textbooks in PowerPoints or PDF. And what we do is we send them out to the parents. Rather than, now these PowerPoints and PDFs are things that are reusable. You can never, they can never be away. Can just do is, if we want parents to reuse them, all they do is, okay, these are this. We don't want, but the thing remains that, look, you begin to write on a PowerPoint, you can't begin to scratch on PDFs. All you need to do is you are getting the ideas from there. Definitely the PowerPoints, they have the video, normal textbooks don't have. So the world is evolving technologically. And now buying textbooks is phasing off. Rather, we are pushing textbooks now into the e-world to them. So once again, Mary, I must really commend you on this wonderful answer. In fact, you have really given me some tonic to really go and work with my group of educators so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I have one question for you, Prince Patrick. The e-library, will parents pay for it? Maybe pay a kind of fee before you can access it, or is it just the data they're going to spend on that?
Very good question. Very good question. Now, like in my school now, let me use my school as an example. Parents pay a token, a token fee to collect a PIN. They collect a PIN, which gives them access to the now, that amount cannot cover the amount you use. Of course, I was looking at the price of buying the whole textbooks for primary 2, and it was amounting to almost 100,000 plus. That's if you want just primary 2 only. Now, but now we ask parents, you're just going to pay a token of 15,000 for the PIN. You pay a token of 15,000 and you are going to get every single PDF, the whole PDF PowerPoint of every single textbook that is going to be used in primary 2. You are getting it. And that it's a complete package you are getting. And mind you, if you live there and the next person come, you don't need to pay again for it. That's one good thing about it. You don't need to pay for it again. All you just need to do is, if you want a renewal, you get a renewal PIN, which is lower than the actual starting PIN. You just pay like 5,000 and they renew the PIN for you, and you continue using it for your next sibling. So it's a very good system that, yes, has helped parents remove that high cost from.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it my network? I can't hear anything. Please, if you can hear me, please, so give me a thumbs up. I don't know if I can't hear myself. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Nice point, Prince Patrick. Nice point. Okay, so the parents have to renew. Okay, they will renew the code or the PIN to have access to it. Okay, what if parents decide to download everything? That means, would we call that cheating in that aspect, or can't it be downloaded? Sorry for the question. I just want to know more about this. I'll come back to you, Mr. Caesar. Please. Okay.
It's not, because the pin is like saying, okay, it's like saying, now, of course, if you pay for the house is furnished. Sorry, if you want to go into a hotel, when you pay for the room has a TV, the room has bed. Now, if you add up all those things in the room, they are more, they right? Now, if you look at it, that is what the bargain is. If you are paying for the pin, it's minimal. You have access to, once you pay that cost, you have access to everything in that library. It's your library. Download but you can only download that which is necessary for the class of your child. You cannot it. If you get the pin will be strictly given to you. If it is for primary 2, it will be that is for all the classes.
Okay.
That is just one thing. So like a hotel, if you pay for the suites, if you stay in the normal room, you stay in normal room. So that's just how it is.
Okay, well understood. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Caesar, over to you. I saw your hands up.
Thank you so much. I want to react to Patrick's suggestion of the e-library. It's a wonderful idea. Personally, I use that in my university, where everything is uploaded and the package is included in my school fees. Accessing it's quite easy. But again, I have a query concerning that system. As much as it's quite cost effective to access the ebook, how about parents without devices? We are talking about the sub-Saharan Africa, where even accessing basic education challenge. How about having those devices that will access that network? And I want to give an example of my country. We have day schools and boarding schools. How will those in boarding school access the e-books? And remember, a learner is supposed to work with this to the how feasible is that going to be? It's a point that we need to consider. It's a good embracing technology, but we also have to look at the possibility of many of the learners not accessing the e-books. Thank you.
Okay, I think Prince Patrick just responded via chat. Yeah, he said, yes, that's the scenario also. And we have to use, we have the use of creating computer labs. Okay, yes, exactly. The use of creating computer lab in school so that students that cannot access those e-library can always use it in school. Thank you very much for that. Is there any other question or suggestion? We have 5 minutes left. Mr. Nahid, do you have anything to say? Tracy, anyone that has any contribution?
Yeah, exactly. Since we are teaching children, so my suggestion to children is not to use mobile, not to use gadgets. They must be away from technology. Reason being, I am telling the reason. They are in their formative years and the brain wiring is developing. When they need to be stable, when they are not stable, how can they be facing the challenges of their lives. Better still, my school, we never give homework through mobiles. Everyone in India has mobile set, smartphones. Everyone has, right? But so far as e-libraries are concerned, we should have physical library, if physical textbooks. Reason being, children are distracted. So today, challenge is not lack of information, lack of books. No, that is not the challenge. The challenge is focus of children. If information is flooded and children are not focusing, so they may be distracting, and the way we want that children have learning outcome, it would not be possible. So my submission to the panelists is, first of all, we should try to make children stable, specifically emotionally, because they are browsing the contents of their relevant books, but they many a times they are deviated due to device. So basically we will have to bring them back. If this is not done, first is vision is lost, then neurological processes are also getting affected, right? So love children, and they must be away from the devices, otherwise they will play games. We know the nature of children, right? And we cannot control, we must not control, it is natural, right? We should not use mobile in front of children. Children must use less or less, and up to age of 14. Age is very delicate, and today what is happening, we are busy, we are providing gadgets to children. So physical books, right? And lot many information is not required. Love for reading is required, story books are required, right? Colorful books are required, picture books are required. So these things should be given to children. So we should love children, we should respect their identity, individuality. Today what is happening, they come across with strangers. So what is happening, in place of education, something else is happening. So we must need the privacy, we protect children from coming to this problematic situation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Wow, this is an eye-opener. Yes, I strongly believe in that, because the way things are going now, in the near future, children would not want to even look at any textbook or even use exercise book as well, because all their minds are focused on what? Phone, gadgets, and they are easily distracted. They are easily distracted. So I don't know, because we are in technological era, and this distraction has come to stay. That's the truth. The distraction has come to stay. But what we need to do is how to manage the situation. How can we manage this technological era, trying to stop the students from being distracted and channel them towards the right path? Okay, I think what we should do is combining the two. We're going to be using the e-library using the technological aspect of it, and at the same time introduce the textbooks. I'm saying introduce because it is fading away. We have to reintroduce, and at the same time, the schools shouldn't use those textbooks as means to make money, because most schools are using this as, how will I put it? They are making money out of parents because of textbooks. You see a child of 5 years is using a book worth how many thousands of dollars? Is really unfair. It's really unfair. So we need to look into this. I think because of time, we have less than 1 minute. I don't know. Maybe we'll continue this discussion via chat on Facebook. I'm going to paste those videos. I'll post this video, then we can now communicate there. So if there is any question you have, or you have a suggestion, please, you can drop it there on the on a walkthrough education Facebook page, so that we can discuss it further there. So in absence of any other thing, because we have less than 1 minute, if there's any other thing you need to say briefly before we call it a day. Okay, in absence of any other thing, I want to say thank you, Ms.